Natural bodybuilding health. Okay, so getting yourself down to 5% body fat where your testosterone plummets to the single digits, that's healthy?
Interesting point. See, I saw this video the other day and it does make you think. It's common in the industry for people to mention that steroids are bad and the natural bodybuilding is healthy, and more notably the way the sport should be. But they're wrong. To an extent. You see, bodybuilding in the form of going to the gym to build the body that you want and be healthy should be encouraged, but that's not what I'm on about today, because there's a big difference between competitive bodybuilding and a regular gym goer. Competitive bodybuilding, whether you're enhanced or not, is a road full of risks which entail many health problems, mental and physical, as well as addictions. It has its issues for sure, but either way, natural or not, bodybuilding isn't healthy. First off, we need to look at what bodybuilding really is, or more specifically, what it's judged off of: size, shape, and condition. All three are heavily based on genetics, and most people can improve them through the usage of gear, but let's stick on natural athletes for the time being, because since bodybuilding changed with the rise of Dorian Yates in the 90s, every show, whether natural or not, is now being judged the same, being full but also shredded at the same time. This is an issue for natural athletes because being big, full, well-shaped and conditioned is very hard unless you have elite genetics. Of course, the argument of natural bodybuilding being judged different than enhanced is its own thing, but whether you have great genetics or not, being at such a low body fat percentage isn't healthy for anyone. Yes, you look amazing, but you can suffer from a complete laundry list of issues, such as low test, can't sleep, increased cortisol, increased risk of injury, lower libido, lack of recovery, fatigue, and so many other things. Not to mention that these are only the physical issues. The mental issues only add to this with the constant stress and increased body dysmorphia, because believe it or not, at a certain point in leanness, you actually get more body dysmorphia than you would if you were a bit fatter. Meaning that a lot of people that look like this still think that they're fat or out of shape. And the greatest of them all was still a victim to this mentality. Now, let me just add something here, which is a major thing that isn't mentioned most of the time. Female bodybuilding. The issues stated above are experienced by both men and women, yet most people talk about the issues faced by male competitors, but all things considered, women have it much worse. Let me explain. If men choose to do a show, they will diet down, get to an unhealthy level of body fat, experience the problems listed above, compete, and whether or not they win, they will eat normally and get to a healthy body fat percentage. After a short while, their hormones will no longer be tanked and they will be, well, healthy. Women are not as fortunate. This is because women experience menstrual cycles, and getting to such a low body fat percentage messes with that, and many women will actually miss their cycle whilst they're that lean. But no issue, right? Eat properly, stop tanking your hormones, get healthy. No. Even if a female bodybuilder gets to a healthy body fat level, her menstrual cycle could be off and she may not experience it for months to a year at a time, with some cases even going beyond this. This will affect their mentality a lot and will render them infertile. So whether they won the show or not, they cannot have children, at least for a long time. Again, this is only the natural side of the sport, not a single drug taken. Kind of shocking to think of this because we hear so much about steroids being a bad thing that shorten your lifespan and leave you with terrible side effects. And that is true. But let's refer back to the original clip for a moment.
Natural bodybuilding health.
Honest.
And I will argue that having stable hormone levels is as, if not more healthy than having tanked hormone levels from being natural.
Wait, stop. Is he making a point here? Ideally, if you compete by taking some sort of HRT equivalent, that would be great, right? I'm not so sure. But ultimately, the question is, does this make steroids healthy if done correctly? Do you want the simple answer? No. Because frankly, there is no point. Look at it like this. If you compete naturally, you can't take anything. End of. However, even if you just take the smallest amounts just to be healthier, then you are now classified as enhanced and therefore have to compete in enhanced shows against others who could be juicing to the gills. I'm sure you see the dilemma. Now, they could make a show that's just enhanced for health purposes with the use of TRT to make athletes at least a little bit healthier within reason. But then you could argue that why don't they just judge natural athletes different? And I'm sure that even taking the smallest amounts could affect your natural production of hormones and your body in some way. This is a really, really complex discussion. So let me just list the side effects of steroids. But before I do, let me just add that this is on top of the previously mentioned issues experienced by natural bodybuilding. Heart attacks, aneurysms, kidney failure, enlarged prostate, enlarged organs which increase the risk of organ failure, hair loss, yellowing of the eyes, terrible acne, increased risk of injury, and high blood pressure. But you want to know what the sad thing is as well? That this isn't the end of it, and there are so many more side effects. In fact, let me just add one more thing, because there is a guarantee. You are mentally going to be cooked by taking PEDs as well. Just take a listen to some of these.
Anxiety like you would not believe. Every day that I'm on high doses, I wake up in the morning afraid of the rest of my day.
My coping mechanisms, how I dealt with all of my emotional internal issues, was violence. I have cuts all over my body. My tattoos cover up most of them.
Tren affected my mental health the worst. Yeah. I've done crystal meth, crack, all this, coke, special K, all the above. And Tren, I find, affected my mental health the worst. Irritable, angry, anxious, night sweats, horrible acne. You know, like I got the most side effects from Tren than all these drugs that I just mentioned that I was using back then.
All this being said, bodybuilding, natural or not, isn't healthy. It's a risky sport that requires you to starve yourself to look a certain way, then pose on stage and be judged by others. It can be highly rewarding for sure, but you know what else is more enticing for many people? Social media. Look at all the fitness influencers out there. Most of them have never competed before, and many of them are in fact natural, but regardless if they're natural or not, these guys on average make more money than competitors do a lot of the times, whether through sponsors, collabs, or even making their own company in a lot of instances. They don't even have to look at a stage to make money, let alone pose on one. Now granted, social media does come with its own issues, but just look. We have stars making millions off the back of their page, sometimes with naturals having a larger following than those who are enhanced, but much like competitive bodybuilding, it is based heavily on genetics. Yet, not to the extent of competitive bodybuilding. Take anyone from the classic physique and compare them to the top influencers. They have immensely better genetics, yet they are both successful. So let me leave you with a hypothetical question. Imagine you're a gym goer who has solid genetics. Now you could take the risk of bodybuilding and potentially get somewhere down the line, or you could just post on social media and if done correctly, make a lot more money and be a lot healthier. Which are you choosing?